Hey kids, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. I love a challenge, and we're working on something different today. Let's get right to it. Yeah, it's not a banjo, and it's not a guitar. It's a Banjitar. Some of you may be aware of these things. Myself, I'm not. I wasn't until this client brought this one in, and he was kind of at a loss for a couple of things. He wanted to put this little pickup system on it so that he can play it through an amp. All it is it attaches right to the bridge. I put it on there off camera just to test it and make sure it works. It just kind of they literally send it with zip ties, but I needed an extra one so that the thing kind of points in this orientation, like so. You put your 90-degree right in there. And that's how it plays. You follow? It's not really, it's a little wonky, but you can't really put a whole lot of electronic gear in this. It's really just a drum and a guitar neck. A couple of things. It's not a banjo. It's not a guitar. It's a hybrid between the two. I may put another zip tie on there to hold that a little more secure. Scale length is an issue. I did a little bit of research because I am not 100% aware of these. I'll tell you right off the bat, I don't like to work on banjos. I generally don't. I will, but I don't like to. They're kind of different. But I love a challenge. The scale length on these is longer than a banjo. Banjo would be a little shorter, and you got a 5 strings instead of 6. And because of that extra scale length, you run into problems with the way you tune these things with strings breaking and popping, especially let's just call them the high E and the B. The wire strings tend to want to snap because they'll be under too much tension because we tune it D standard tuning, basically D, G, C, F, A, O, or D at the end, F, A, O Schwartz. So, and then once you tune it like that, it's an open chord and it doesn't overtension the strings. And if you want to just play in standard with other people, you capo at the 2nd fret. So I went through all the little logistics of that. Now, there are 2 schools of thought. High-strung Nashville, right? Or you just take a standard 12-string, 10 to 47, 12-string, and use only the octave strings. I'm not 100% sure about that. Like I said, we're going to learn this together. What we're doing is just restringing it and setting it up. Now, when I first got it, this was jammed all the way. It was so jammed down, and this is where the strings come through this little saddle part, or tailpiece. I'm sorry, this is the saddle, the tailpiece. Strings go through there. They lock on the back here on a hook, and then you have to kind of tension down on this, and you'll see right there where it kind of pushes down on the strings to put some tension, not only from this side, but from this side, this end, on the saddle. And you don't want too much. It was reamed all the way down that you couldn't, you should be able to do this with your finger tight, okay? And when I got it, the drum head was actually divoted down like a dog dish, and that's not what you want. It will put a little pressure on that. I'm not going to lie to you that will be depressed slightly, but as if it were a banjo. They don't sit on there and it's not perfectly flat. It does put down a little bit of pressure, but all you need is just enough down tension on the tailpiece to get you your break angle and to hold the strings in the saddle slots. All right, that is my dissertation, what I've learned about the Banjitar. You got a couple of wound strings. These are basically guitar strings, but they're, like I said, Nashville. They call them high-strung Nashville. Am I going to tell you that I know exactly what that means? No, it doesn't matter. All the same rules apply of setting up a guitar, or in this case, a Banjitar. And of course, somebody has boogered up the strings. So yeah, we're going to tune it D, G, C, F, A, D. And that will limit the amount of tension that we have on the wire strings from G, B, and A string. Let us continue. Now, I'm not even going to try to take measurements to begin with, because I know that this is probably needs to be moved up or down one way or the other, because that's going to be our intonation. So we're doing a restring, and we're going to, oh, and by the way, the strings that are on it are basically regular acoustic guitar strings. To make it sound more like a banjo, these are much lighter gauge. Okay, looks like 26 to 10. These are probably going to be somewhere around 47, I'm guessing. If I'm going to guess, no, 53 to 11. Yeah, it's a regular set of acoustic guitar strings, and that's not what we want. You put the lighter gauge on and tune it the way we're going to tune it, and capo at the second fret. It's going to sound more and play more like a banjo than a guitar. If you follow what I'm saying. Interesting, to say the least. Stand by while I. Oh, and down here it is a. I'm going to show you just the end of it. We may run into an issue. I don't know until we get there. But that's all it has, is a little loop right there that goes through the tailpiece and hooks. It's an open noose loop. You can see it right there. And it hooks on a hook right here. These are ball end. We're going to try to put them on there. Leave the ball, but grab the noose underneath the ball. We will see how that goes. We may have to just somehow get the ball off. I've done that before, but I digress. Let me get it de-strung, and then we'll move on to the next segment momentarily. So I almost have all the strings up, but I wanted to illustrate what I was talking about to begin with. When this guitar came in, or this Banjitar came into me, the G string was actually broken. It was popped. And that's the biggest complaint when people try to restring their instrument. This instrument, the G string will not take the tension that you have to. Everything else you tune down, but the G string has to tune up to get to where it needs to be. And that's the one that was broken. So that's why we're going to do, if you try to go E, A, D, G, yeah, it's not going to play well. And that's why. I'm going to leave just that one string on there, just to hold the saddle from popping off. It's how I do banjos mostly, but just so it makes it easier to get the other strings on it. Now, once we get it restrung, we're going to, all the same rules apply. We're going to tune it to open D tuning, basically. And then we're going to set the truss rod, set the intonation, and what have you. You can't really set the string height. That's preset. But we'll get there. So, off camera, I took all of the ball ends off of the strings, right? Yeah, they were set at D'Addario, so they're colored. You just want just the loop on this end. You don't want anything else. The ball, yeah, you could kind of finagle it and have the ball hanging out back here, but I don't like that. Right away, I'm not gonna do it. So let's proceed with at least a couple of these so we can see together. So basically, there's only one wound string on the whole guitar, on the whole Banjitar. I'm going to get it through the tailpiece and have my loop catch the hook on the end. That's going to be the most secure way to string it. This is why I hate banjos. Thank God you don't have to string them up as often. 9 times out of 10, I'll just tell a client I don't work on banjos. You can say what you want about me. Go ahead. All the comments will go crazy now. They're just unwieldy, and they don't agree, and they don't cooperate. Same rules. It's going to live here. You're going to go to the next peg, right? Let's move down into the camera a little better. Bend it, hold it, stop at the bend, and then check and recheck that your loop didn't come off at the other end, which it did not. I'm surprised. Forgot to check if the nut was secure. Those things always pop off. So, you can tell it's already going to sound more like a banjo than a guitar. That's one. I am going to leave some extra because, yeah, I'm not 100% sure of this little procedure. I could see de-stringing in my future again and again and again. Let's put another one on camera with all of us, and then we will pause while I try to put the rest of them on. So get it down there where it's going to pay attention, bend it a little bit to facilitate it going down to the hook. Otherwise, you're going to fight it. I'm on you. You can do it. Do I need to use a tool? Yeah, probably. This is why I hate banjos. A million banjo players out there cursing me right now because, yeah, there's people that love banjos. I dig it. I get it. I got no problem with that. I'm just not one of them. I'm a bass player. I'm not even a guitar player, so don't give me a banjitar. But as I said, once we get the strings on, all right, when we re-string it, all the same rules apply. Neck relief, intonation, string height to a certain degree, because, you know, we're going to do that with the neck relief, but it's just this initial oddball tuning that we're going to do, plus we had to put a little thing on there for, you know, so we could play it through an amp. I am going to pause there, and you see why I left that one string on there. That's how I do banjos, just to hold the saddle in place while I get a couple of other strings on it. Now I can remove that one. And until we get all of the strings back on it, this is going to move and slide on you, and yeah, that just happens. Floating bridges. Yeah, no. I know. These two strings will now hold that saddle in place, and the position of this saddle is going to have to move later. I have to set the intonation by either getting it forward or back, but again, we'll get to that. I'm going to pause while I put the other 4 strings on, and when we come back, it'll look more like an instrument. Stand by. All right, so we are tuned. All right, D, G, C, F, A, D. Something doesn't sound right. There's no way that's going to make it all the way up to a high A. Okay, well, that's where we're going to leave it. I know the intonation is a little off. It's sharp. In other words, we need to move our saddle up slightly. But before we do that, we're going to check our neck relief. And I'm pretty certain that that is not where it wants to be. Off camera, I put another zip tie on the little output jack. Actually, it's pretty darn good. All right. So I know neck relief is going to live where it is. This thing's going to throw me for a loop today, and I know it. I don't like that. That doesn't sound right. But it's an open chord, and that's what it's supposed to be. Okay, quote the second fret. Anyway, we don't need to adjust the neck relief. That's a guitar neck. That's where we're going to leave it. I am going to detune and move our saddle back in a guesstimate. I'm also going to loosen our tailpiece to take the string tension off. And we're going to try to set intonation. And then, as far as this instrument goes, that's as far as I'm willing to go. Yeah, you can measure it if you want, but measurement will only get you so close. I'm going to guesstimate. Something tells me I'm going to have a popped string in my future with this instrument. I can just feel it, even though we're detuned. And it's going to be one of these two right here. Constantly watching our string spacing too. So far it's reacting and acting like a guitar. Certainly doesn't sound like one. If this thing gives me a heartache, I'm going to punch my client right in the nose. That was violent, right? Why did I have to go there? It's actually getting pretty stable. I mean, it likes to tune up, but wow. What an oddball. I think I might have gone too far with it. No. Actually, I nailed it. Yep. Why doesn't the low D want to act right? Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's coming right back in. So that little bit of adjustment, which was, I don't know, maybe 1/8 of an inch, moving the saddle back that way towards the tailpiece, kind of got us there. We've got tension on the strings with the tailpiece. That's what you need. Don't go crazy with that. As if it were a banjo, you just want to have just enough tension on it, so it's got equal tension from this side and this side. It sounds a little like a banjo, but not quite. Odd, very odd, very, very, very odd. That's as far as I'm willing to go with it. That throws me off. And if I try to tune that, well, what is the B string on a guitar, if I try to tune that up to the next A, it sounds correct. That's as far as I'm willing to go. I love a challenge, but this one, it's just got too many questions for me. Guys, give me your comments. Maybe you could teach me a little something about it beyond what I learned through my research, but we're giving it back to the client like this, and then I'll get some feedback. It might end up on the bench again after we confer, but we'll talk soon. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe, and please share.